A word of warning. My true crime is intended for adults. We may discuss disturbing cases, so viewer discretion is advised. Thank you. Hello, my true crime buddies. Welcome to another episode of Thriller Thursday. I have come across this case. I have done my last two, Shannon Matthews and Stephen Lawrence. They were both in the UK. So today we're going across the pond to Ohio, and we're going to be talking about a very tragic, shocking and disturbing case. This is the case of Jessie Davis, who tragically is the victim. So please grab whatever you are working on, come join me. I am so thrilled that you guys are, I don't want to say enjoying, it's probably the wrong word, but you are enjoying my true crime section. So thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I get feedback and requests. I have a new request from Kylie, which I'm looking forward to delving into very, very soon. Okay, let's talk about Jessie Davis. Jessie Davis, the mother of a 2-year-old boy named Blake. She was first reported missing in Ohio on June the 15th in 2007. She was 9 months pregnant and about a week away from giving birth to her second child, Chloe. The father of both her children was Bobby Cutts Jr. Bobby, at the time, was married to another woman. A little over a week after she was last seen, Jessie's body was found on June the 23rd in 2007. Bobby, the boyfriend, was hired by the Canton police. Yep, he was a police officer. Over the 7 years that he worked for them, he went through periods where he would be good at his job and others where he was wildly incompetent. For example, in 2003, he was without work for several months when a known drug dealer somehow wound up with his gun. Despite this incident, which wasn't elaborated on, he was rehired back onto the force. When Jessie was reported missing on the 15th of June, Bobby was not considered a person of interest by local police. The small town of Canton, Ohio, was in for a rude awakening in the summer of 2007. The horror began when Jessie's mother discovered her 2-year-old grandson, Blake, alone in a house that stank of bleach. Always a red flag. She immediately filed a missing persons report, but police did not find Jessie's body for another week. According to court documents, Blake, a 2-year-old boy, likely witnessed his mother's murder. He told investigators, quote, Mummy was crying. Mummy broke the table. Mummy's in a rug. To the shock of the townspeople, Jessie's body was indeed found wrapped in a rug. The exact cause of death could not be determined because the body was so badly decomposed. Jessie's body was found in Hampton Hills Metro Park in Summit County, Ohio, on June the 23rd, 2007. According to reports, her killer was the one who showed authorities where the body was after 9 days of denying any knowledge. Upon inspecting the corpse, the coroner was unable to determine an exact cause of death because of the advanced state of decomposition. According to Bobby, the police officer stroke boyfriend stroke married to someone else, he accidentally hit Jessie in the throat with his elbow while they were arguing. How you accidentally hit someone in the throat while arguing baffles me. But that's what he claimed. She was knocked onto the ground where she died. However, his friend and accomplice, Maisha Farrell, said that when she asked Bobby what happened, he made strangling motions with his hands, which contradicts the story that he told police. Bobby apparently snapped under the pressure of his failing marriage, the impending birth of his child with Jessie, and the money issues that he was having. Records show that he had quite a bit of debt despite making $5,800 a month between his jobs as a police officer and a security guard. He had 3 children to support, one with an ex-girlfriend, one with his now ex-wife, and Jessie's son Blake. And clearly she was a week away from giving birth to Chloe, which would make it 4. After his arrest, 4 other women came forward and said that they were in a relationship with Bobby at the same time. He was balancing Jessie and his wife. Now this is a guy who is struggling, juggling, 4, 5, 6 women. How is this guy doing all of this stuff? Okay, so according to Bobby's ex-wife, Kelly, she changed her name after the divorce, her surname, but her name is Kelly. When she was still married to Bobby, Jessie interfered in their marriage quite a bit. She claimed that Jessie would call her and brag about the things that she and Bobby had done and would tell her about every detail of her pregnancy. Kelly believed that Jessie was trying to break up their marriage so that she could have Bobby all to herself. However, Bobby, stroke boyfriend husband, had told Kelly, the wife, that he and Jessie had a one-night stand when Blake was conceived. Despite the lies, his marriage with Kelly was already on the rocks when he murdered Jessie. Now, I mentioned Maisha. She is a friend of Bobby's. It turns out she helped him cover up the murder. She claimed that he showed up at her house with Jessie's body wrapped up in the back of his truck. She went with him to dispose of Jessie's body and 2 trash bags of things that he had with him. On the way back, Bobby told her what to say to the authorities. And being a police officer, he would be in the know about different things. But clearly he's not that smart. Maisha, the helper, received 2 years in prison for complicity to gross abuse of a corpse and lying to authorities. She pled guilty to both charges and testified against Bobby during his murder trial. After Bobby was arrested, several of his former girlfriends came forward, claiming he was violent and rough towards them. Nikki, who has a daughter with Bobby, went on Good Morning America to tell her side of the story. She told the anchors that he was fond of physically controlling her and that he had a dark side. You don't say. I mean, he's been arrested for murder, so clearly he has a dark side. So it doesn't take a genius to work that out. At one point, his actions sent her to the emergency room and she had to wear a neck brace for several months. According to guards at the Toledo Correctional Institution, where Bobby will be spending the rest of his life, he is a model prisoner. He was a tutor for a short time and did a stint as an employee in the prison library. He did maintenance for the institution and has joined a number of inmate clubs and organisations. On top of that, he takes parenting classes. At one point, according to a commendation letter, he even stopped a fellow inmate from hanging himself. Bobby was sentenced to life in prison. He is eligible for parole after serving 57 years of his prison term. So he's been sentenced to 57 years, and after that time period is eligible for parole. So this is why he is being a model prisoner, isn't it? He's been given 57 years. And I've been thinking about this because he didn't call 911 as it is in America. He didn't call Blake's grandma, and he left a 2-year-old in the home alone. And it was Jessie's mum that found him. Then he goes on and denies any knowledge, any involvement. It is quite sick what this guy has done. But as I have started doing, I've started looking for like an update of sorts. I mean, obviously he's got 57 years, so he's still in prison and being a model prisoner by accounts. I think he's done about 10 of those years from what I can gather. I did find a quote. I think taking things for granted leads to not necessarily doing the right things all the time, or not thinking about the consequences of your actions at times. I mean, he didn't think anything through other than, I have to get rid of this problem, i.e. another child. And I did read somewhere that there was another girl that was pregnant with his child and she had an abortion. And I'm not judging her, I'm just putting it out there that this woman was also pregnant at the same time as Jessie. except Jessie was a week away from giving birth to her daughter, which is very, very tragic. He was a selfish, manipulative person, and only thought of himself, in my opinion. Blake is now 12, so it was 10 years ago. Blake's life goes on with neither birth parent present every day, and yet, by accounts, he is doing very well. And all credit to who I'm assuming Jessie's mum stepped up and looked after him. Jessie's mother is called Patty, and she has come out and supports Bobby's release from prison and has joined in efforts to reduce his sentence. For that to happen, they need the help of Governor John, I don't know how to pronounce that, Kasich? That's what I'm going with. These odds, however, are going to be extremely long. Denise Barr, the chief prosecutor of the Criminal Division for Stark County Prosecutor John D. Farrow, will oppose any effort to reduce his sentence. I have a tremendous amount of sympathy for what Patty has gone through in losing her daughter Jessie, Barr said. And he carried on saying, and I greatly admire and respect what she has done in raising Blake and forgiving Bobby. However, the law of the state of Ohio imposes certain penalties for the offences Bobby was convicted of, and those laws do not provide any type of early release. The Stark County Prosecutor's Office and myself would vigorously oppose any consideration of early release for Bobby. Bobby has been quoted as saying, quote, "Prison in some ways has changed me for the better. I think 10, 11 years ago I was more selfish than I am now." Really? You're inside. And I actually think I appreciate things a little bit more than I did. A little bit more. I wouldn't recommend this course of action for anybody to get a different perspective about life, but I do think I'm a better person. If I was released, those in my life would see a change and embrace that. Unlikely. This guy, I'm not on his side. Not only did he kill his girlfriend, he killed his unborn child a week away from joining the world. I don't, no, not condoning it. Forgiveness is a tricky subject, okay? For me, personally, forgiveness is about, I always see it as letting go of the guilt you carry inside. I should have been there, I should have spoke out, releasing all of that, because whatever happened was done to you, not because of you, if that makes sense. But a lot of people are having trouble grasping the forgiveness that Jessie's mum has for Bobby, who took her daughter's life. So forgiveness, some experts say, isn't something given to someone else. It's something given to oneself. There you go. That's pretty much what I said in a long-winded way. That forgiveness is even difficult for Bobby to fathom. I think God did use Patty to open my eyes to some things. People are in your life for a reason, and we don't always know what that reason. I think Patty is living out her reason right now in my life. Patty does believe that prison has changed Bobby. The two are, in their words, spiritual brothers and sisters. This is a little bit weird. The deeper I delve into this, it's a little bit weird. I'm all for forgiving someone, and one thing I didn't touch on in the Stephen Lawrence case was that the dad has forgiven the two murderers, Gibson and Norris. He's forgiven them and said if ever they want to, want me to visit, I'm willing to do so. And I'm thinking, these are two racists. They're not going to ask you to visit. But he's forgiven them. And I know people do. But Patty seems a little bit over forgiving, I just find it very, very strange that she is so forgiving. One thing that I did discover is that Patty, who is Jessie's mum, and Renee, who is Bobby's mum, they have forged a relationship. And that kind of makes sense because they are both grandmothers to Blake. But they've travelled together to the prison with Blake to visit Bobby in prison. And this was in 2010. I know they must have had a conversation with this 12-year-old boy. And I think he was 12 when this happened. Maybe he was younger, I don't know. But there must have been a conversation where they said, oh, look, Daddy... Well, he said it himself, whether he remembers that too. Daddy killed Mummy. Let's go see Daddy. It is a little bit too weird for me. I'm sorry. I'm all for forgiveness and not carrying around guilt and stuff, and maybe even going, okay, I forgive you for what you've done to my family, and leave it at that. Move on. Let me know what you guys think down below, please. Am I being too harsh? Am I being out of order? It's completely up to Patty and Bobby, obviously, but wow, I've just come across this. Blake, he was saying what he wanted Grandma to write to the very first letter that he sent to his dad. And Bobby says, quote, I still have the letter. I think word for word is, Dad, I love you, but I'm angry because you made my mum go to heaven. Then I think he said, I forgive you, but I'm mad at you. And again, he was 5 or 6 at that time. And then he went on to say, obviously I was sad receiving the letter, but I was kind of relieved too that he was able to express to me how he felt, because there were adults who can't express how they feel. Blake aspires to be a civil rights leader. He might be the youngest member of the NAACP, according to Bobby's mother. Well, there you go, guys. That is the very tragic case of Jessie Davis. Please do, as I said, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the whole of this case. Could you forgive Bobby? Not sure I could. Not to that extent. Thank you so much for joining me, and I shall see you next week in another episode of my Thriller Thursday. And remember, October is coming and we are ramping up these true crime stories. Some will be a tad more gruesome because we're heading into Halloween. Also Halloween themed true crime. So yeah, I will see you very soon in another true crime episode. Stay safe out there. Bye.